Hello, hello, hello. FIFA Club World Cup show coming right at you. Episode 9 with the beer-swilling Qooligan from the very, very humid and hot East Coast.
Whoa, it is nasty here. I mean, I'll tell you something. Anybody who is playing in the East, like tomorrow's Bayern Benfica game, just to give you an idea, it's being played in Charlotte, North Carolina. Currently, it is 98 degrees. Chapel Hill, a little bit further north of Charlotte. It is expected to be at least maybe 100 at kickoff. Heat index is supposed to go to 105, 106. There's a chance someone could die.
And it could be you. Is that it, Qooligan?
It won't be me because I'm not going to that damn game. No, they want I'll be honest with you. FIFA wants way too much money.
Well, that's
the ticket prices. The ticket prices are absurd.
That has been a mess. I think we're going to do a wrap up and look back on this one as well.
Yeah,
there has been some pricing things. But before we get into it, so we have episode 9 today. We are going to be looking at yesterday's final group games as well, with the likes of Real Madrid and Man City and those guys in Juventus. We're going to touch on those briefly. We've just finished Group B, so we know who is confirmed. Yes. Obviously, what has happened with Group B. We're also going to look at. You were doing some analytical work as well about attendance and averages and how that can be a little bit deceptive as well. And then also as well, obviously look into this evening's Group A matches as well and determining what that's going to look like as well and how that's going to go from there.
Good times.
Before we do that, Qooligan, we have been looking at the analytics. More and more amazingly, people have been listening and watching on Spotify, on DAZN. There are people out there. We're not just shouting into the void like mad people as well. So if you are listening and you do like what you hear, please don't be a stranger. Reach out to us. We can find all of the writings and the content that we create on hooligan-soccer.com. Across all the socials, we're across all of the socials as well. Message us, reach out as well. We don't bite, we promise. Feedback. If you anything you like, you don't like, anything we're not covering, anything you would like us to cover, please, we would love to hear from you.
Sometimes Gary even writes a story. Shocking.
Sometimes when I'm sometimes indeed. It's just sometimes. Who knows? Okay, Qooligan. Well, thank you for that wonderful plug as well on my writing abilities.
Didn't say it was good. Just said it was done. Just said it was written, but
biased.
People can make up their own. People can make up their own mind. No, your stuff's all right. Your stuff's all right.
That's all right. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, so let's have a look at yesterday's games, which are obviously quite entertaining.
Well,
with the form of goals. There were goals.
Thank you. Yeah, there were goals.
Yes.
There was goals galore, but there was goals galore, but there wasn't much in the way of thrilling fixtures, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's as if the spirit of River Plate and Monterrey kind of seeped from Saturday into Sunday. And that might be a little unfair. There's certainly one game where that was true. Yeah. But we can talk about the Juventus Wydad game you I'd say, that one was approaching thrilling.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. It certainly wasn't a dull match. And that first half was scintillating. Actually, I really enjoyed it. I still do not understand how in the hell the physicists at FIFA denied Yildiz that goal in the 6th minute, and instead made it an own goal. That just seems criminal. That seems criminal. It was clearly all him.
Yeah. Well, this is true. This is true. I have to say, he did really, really impress me. Hey, he looks really good and really strong. Really like the look of him as well, and only 20 years old as well, German player as well. I know. And again, I know we've been sort of looking at this of like which players are going to get moves out of this. I know Juventus aren't, I wouldn't say strictly like a lesser club, but they have been in the state. They're not afraid to sell their big stars as well if there's a cash cow opportunity as well. Right?
If the price is right, I think they're gonna try and keep him though, because he's got room to develop, and he's only going to get more valuable.
Yeah.
I don't think I can't see a scenario in which he has such a season where his value drops. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
He is a vibrant young thing, and wow. He got the 2. He should have had 3. I think it was a hat trick. That's my opinion. But, and I also want to give a shout out to the Wydad goal scorer, Dembélé Lorch. I've talked about him before.
Yes. This is the South African.
Wonderful. Yes,
this is the South African you admire, right? Yeah.
That's correct. He's out of South Africa. He's on loan from Mamelodi. But that finish was a good finish. Not only did he have that one goal, but he was all over the field, and he was the one bright spark in Wydad's offense that continuously throughout the whole match. And it was a hot one up in Philadelphia. He was a continuous breath of fresh air in that game, and so I really like him. He's on my list of great players of the group stage. I'm working on something like that right now. As Izzield is. Spoiler alert! Woo! But good stuff. Good stuff. I mean, I thought that game was two kinds of all right.
It was. I have to say, I think the general sort of arc of sort of yesterday's set of games is all the goals came from where you'd expect them to. There were no real sort of big shocks in terms of that. Now, the other interesting thing, the stat that I noticed as well, is in that Juve game, in the Juve game, there was only 3. They only had 3 shots on goal.
Oh, yeah. Yes, that is a quirk.
3 shots on goal.
That's what
which was strange, yes. And then also the other interesting side as well is on the Real Madrid game as well. Also, only 3 shots on goal and scored 3 as well, right? But whereas both of these games, you've had situations where the weaker team or the losing team far out sort of shot them, basically in terms of number of shots and shots on target, and still couldn't convert as many. So I don't know if it's ruthless efficiency from Juventus and Real Madrid in these situations, or it's just Pachuca and Wydad Casablanca are just basically need to calibrate their sights and can maybe get a little bit more.
No, I think it can be. I think it could be a little bit of both. And some of it also has to do with the quality of the goalkeeping. Right. Juventus actually put in Di Gregorio. That was his first start of the tournament, I believe. So, he did good to block most of those efforts because Wydad did have 6 shots on frame and he blocked 5 of them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. That's good work. That's very effective goalkeeping.
That's how you earn your money. Exactly. Yeah, yes.
That's right.
And then the Real Madrid game against Pachuca, obviously that was the other afternoon game as well. I mean,
that one actually was thrilling. That one was thrilling for a brief moment, and then it just kind of descended into inevitability. But still,
yes.
I mean, who doesn't like watching Real Madrid play? And watching Real Madrid play with 10 men isn't necessarily anything worse than watching Real Madrid play with 11. It just makes you respect what they can do a lot more.
Yeah, it does.
Right?
Yeah, it was impressive. Now, admittedly, the competition obviously of Pachuca, not to sort of disrespect them too much, but not sort of a real threat for them as well. I have to say, and Real Madrid now look comfortable now with 4 points and probably will get through this group.
It was all things considered, Pachuca they were okay, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, in the sense that we never expected them to give Real that much of a fight. But when a player goes down in the 7th minute with a red, that's a long time to play with 10 in some nasty conditions. And Pachuca tried. They really did. But I think it shows just how effective Real is and how confident they are. They never batted an eye when they went down to 10. They were like, okay, we just have to run a little more, right?
Yeah.
And they did. They sucked it up. They didn't complain about it. I mean, nobody complained about the red. Mm-hmm. It was an obvious red, right? Yeah. So and Solomon Rondon, ex Premier League player, right?
Newcastle.
He played for West Brom. Right?
Newcastle, I believe. I think it was Newcastle, actually. I think it was Newcastle. Yeah.
Fact checkers will come in and tell us which one of us was right. Probably you. But I thought boy, did he try. He was trying so hard. Yeah. Sometimes too hard. Like he had a little shirt pull that took away a promising attack and a bunch of other
I saw that.
Little dumb ticky-tacky things too, right?
But There we go.
I mean,
fact check on Solomon Rondon was at West Bromwich Albion and then went on loan to Newcastle and then went to go and play at
Does that
Everton.
mean we're both right? What a shock.
We're both wrong. We're both wrong.
We're both right. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a first.
It's a first. That's a first.
We are both correct. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. This is a great pod. I love this.
There we go. Look at that.
Yeah,
and
but
no
the statistical, when you do look at the stats, it is shocking. 25 shot attempts, 11 on frame. That's 10 saves.
Yeah.
10.
It's a lot, yeah.
I mean, hello, right?
Yeah. They definitely.
And it's Thibaut Courtois. So sure, that doesn't come out as 10 saves is incredible for any goalkeeper. For Courtois, you're like, sure, it's another day in the office, but still,
he kept
that's well played. Because I could see, with a goalkeeper of lesser stature in there, I could have seen this go real close and get a drop.
Leaky bucket time all of a sudden, and it gets into trouble. Yeah, again, we there seems to be this theme of these goalkeepers who are keeping their teams in this. We've been saying this from the semi-final of the Champions League all the way through to the Champions League and final, and even now to this tournament as well. So yeah.
I do have to give a little stick to Jude Bellingham, who complained about the pitch, and I'm like, dude, really? It's like the pitches aren't very good. Like,
what did he say? Is that what he said? What was his complaint specifically?
Apparently he was like in his post interview thing, somebody asked about the pitch or something, and he was like, "Oh, the pitches aren't great." Seriously, you grew up in a country where the median temperature is 55 degrees Fahrenheit and it rains a lot. So yeah, you can grow good grass. This is the South, man. It's hard to grow grass here, and it's hard to keep it level. But
yeah, there we go. Yep. Okay, and then just wrapping up some of the other games that we saw yesterday as well. That we had the Salzburg Al Hilal game. That was like a
worst.
It was
game.
Pretty dull.
It was as bad as River Plate with Monterrey with less violence.
So what's the point, right? Where was the fun in that, right?
No. Okay. Let me make a case for this. Salzburg they win, they're in, right? Pure and simple. If they get a win, they've got their 6 points and they've got their they got their ticket punched, right? Al Hilal is coming off of a tie. And they're doing okay, right? They're coming off a tie. They're having a second game. We're going to see what's going on here. And neither team was capable of sealing the deal. And it's not through lack of effort. I mean, I think they tried. But I don't know if they tried hard enough. It just seemed like and I'll tell you, to say that they tried, there was 19 shots by Al Hilal. There were 13 shots by Salzburg, right? So that's decent. I mean, that's 32 shots on goal. So there was something happening. Al Hilal had 11 corner kicks.
Yeah, they went for it.
And Hilal had 4 shots on frame, and Salzburg had 6 shots on frame. So these shots on frame probably weren't great shots because so many of them, well, in fact, all of them were saved, right? So, yeah, there's that.
But again, this is another thing.
It just seemed like a match between two teams that were there were sort of embarrassed that they got invited to the party and then were given a spotlight dance and then kind of tripped over their own feet.
The imposter syndrome kicked in. Is that it? It's
something like that.
But again, same thing. I think I mentioned this when I went to go see the Al Hilal Madrid game as well. Same thing. They get into the positions. It was just that finishing was lacking. And this does seem to be the trend of these. And again, not that this is a sort of like, incredibly sort of, sophisticated analytical perspective on it, but the lesser teams are having trouble scoring goals, which has been their downfall. It really has, right? It's not that they can't get into the positions and they just get completely shut out. So yeah, it was that. And then
I will say good. It looked like a vibrant crowd at Audi Field, though. I mean, it was there was nearly 16,000 people there, which is more than they get for DC United.
Yeah, which is okay,
a lot more than they get for DC United. In fact, the Washington Spirit actually gets more than the DC United, but that's a topic for another time.
Okay. And then final one, obviously Man City comfortably cruising through 6-0 against Al Ain.
I turned that off at 3-0. I turned it off at 3-0. I was like, nope, I'm going to bed.
This is
No.
That was done. Yeah, no, that was done. Again, complete domination as well. Yeah, 21 shots in total, 11 shots on target, 6 of them in as well. Man City, comfortable cruising. Again, that was that was not a sort of shock result as well.
No, I think the only thing that was really outstanding about that game was Claudio Echeverri getting his first goal for the club. I thought that was big. Okay. A lot of people lauded his free kick attempt, and it was a good free. I mean, technically, it was a very nice free kick. It had a good dip, a good spin. I still think that keeper should have done better. I was like, why is he on his knee when the ball crosses the plane of the goal? That made no sense. The wall might have blocked the movement, but no, a better keeper would have had that.
Yeah,
better keeper would have had it. Right,
got it. Yeah,
and Gundogan's first goal was something special.
It was he is a special
fluke,
player,
by the way. Anybody who says that he intended to do that is lying.
Well,
he did not. He's looking for the big man. He's going for Haaland's big forehead, and he just missed and hit the goal.
Well. Yeah, well, that's sometimes you get lucky. Hey, Haaland obviously got off the scoring, which was great, and also good to see Cherky as well score as well. I think he's an
Haaland's country and fellow countryman Oscar Bob.
Yeah, and Oscar Bob as well. Then he did. Yeah, indeed.
You get a goal, and you get a goal, and you get a goal. Everybody gets goals. It's like Oprah showed up at the stadium, was handing out goals.
Okay, and then so that takes us on. So that was yesterday's matches. Obviously, we've just finished today's obviously sort of matches, which obviously both played at the same time. Obviously, the final Group B as well played at the same time. Obviously, just to sort of just so there's no irregularities in terms of scores, and obviously no one else is correct. No one knows what's going on.
You watched one of them, and I watched both of them.
Exactly.
But I'll let you talk about the. I had Madrid Botafogo.
I had the Atletico Botafogo game on, yes, and I mean Atletico won 1-0. Botafogo just seemed to defend quite well. Again, this is another one. Atletico had 23 shots in total in this game. 62% possession, 5 of them on target, and they only managed to score in the 87th minute through Griezmann. So it's again lacking. Atletico have strikers. They have good strikers. I mean, they have Julian Alvarez as well. They have Griezmann. They have, players that can put the ball in the back of the net. And I think because of the way they played here, they just didn't have enough. And it means that Diego Simeone and crowd they get to go home early. They get to sort of start their summer vacation and go back to the Balearics and go and enjoy some paella and sangria and Ibiza as well, just to get ready for the next season.
I'm sure that there's a small group of that player. There's a small cadre of that player group who's like, I'm fine with this.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure.
They'll never say it publicly, and
of course,
yeah.
But it does mean Go on.
No, I was going to say, Alvarez and Sorloth, who are their two strikers, are a combined 0 for 14 shots.
Yeah,
in the 3 games.
Again,
and Alvarez had a clear chance and totally whiffed it. It was like he was back at Man City.
Yeah. That was harsh. Well, but again, we are seeing this theme. Obviously, we were just talking about how Salzburg as well was struggling to score in front of goal as well. Now, again, I know we keep talking about fatigue, and again, is this the fatigue coming in and they're getting tired and they're losing their edge? I don't know. Maybe it's the weather playing a factor as well.
Let's just blame the pitch, like Jude Bellingham.
Let's just blame the pitch as well. Yeah,
it's just such a terrible pitch. No, I don't know what it is, and people don't always have good days. And people get into slumps, and people do this and people do that. Atletico Madrid's malaise was a combination of many different things. Wasted opportunities up front, missed chances. They did get the win. In fact, interestingly, I think almost every pundit predicted that they would win this game, but still not advance. I was one of them, right? I was one of those. I'm not pretty enough to be on the DAZN, halftime crew or whatever, but keep trying. But I think my headshot is too scary for them.
You do have your own show on DAZN as well, so it is okay. It is okay.
I do have my own show on DAZN, in which case I can at least be almost half as pretty as Alex Scott, which is
that's saying something.
And nearly as handsome as Kieran is.
And twice as salty as well. Hey, so you get all the benefits of it.
That's also true.
Yeah.
So no, it was a good game. I thought it was a good game. And Botafogo had some really good chances. I actually thought they looked for the majority of the game, I thought they looked more dangerous.
They got into a lot more positions. I agree. They didn't have as many shots, but again, final ball, Igor Jesus, I believe he goes by. Again, I think there's rumors that Forest are going to pick him up and sign him, and he's going to go to the Premier League. I don't know if that's the striker you probably want. He doesn't fill me with confidence. I know some people are fans of him. Didn't really do it so much for me. But what is interesting,
he had the best shot of the game that wasn't Griezmann's.
Yeah,
that Oblak just parried off. I mean, he took that on near post.
Yeah,
it was a brilliant effort.
It was
probably deserved to go in, but Oblak's a great keeper, so he just kept it out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there are going to be questions. Why did Griezmann not start? Because he was an absolute difference maker in that game. When he came on at halftime, Atletico suddenly their threat level went from orange, went from like pale yellow to orange, to serious orange.
There is another factor in here as well, is they probably got the hairdryer treatment from Diego Simeone in the dressing room at halftime as well, because obviously they knew they were going out.
Well,
so he's screaming at them as well.
But he didn't. But he also made the choice to put Gallagher in instead of Griezmann, and I'm not going to diss on Gallagher, but Griezmann, he was taking shots. He had, I think, at least 5 of the shots of the 23, just him alone.
Yeah, just remember, I think he's also meant to be leaving Atletico as well. So he's also thinking about putting himself in the shop window as well, and trying to get obviously some suitors and seeing getting a move out.
I can think of a number of places that could benefit from a little Griezmann action.
Yeah. MLS side, do you think? You see him on the MLS? Yes. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
Why not?
Okay,
he's loving the heat, baby. He's loving the heat.
Get used to it. Yeah.
Up to San Diego.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's not that warm, but whatever. Yeah.
And so you watched the PSG game.
I did.
And I did not catch this.
Here's all I can really say on this one. Seattle was beaten by a superior team. Is this a surprise? No, not at all. We expected PSG to win, but I'm going to say this. It was a very, very good game by Seattle. They did not embarrass themselves. They did not give up the goals cheaply. PSG earned both those goals, and the first goal was a bit of a fluke. I mean, a corner kick, the ball just fell really kindly, right? It fell really kindly to Vitinha, who took a shot that was going wide, and it hit Kvicha in the back. He's trying to get out of the way of the shot, and it hits his shoulder and goes in the net. I mean, that's like, okay, that's fluky. And nothing that Seattle really could have done except maybe put a defender at the top of the box to prevent that from coming in. But I think that's being very critical of Seattle. And then the last goal that they made was, that one was an interesting build of events, because Rondon comes in on a good breakaway. He gets himself into a dangerous position in the box. He tries to make a cutback. Ends up just the touch goes a bit too hard. We talk about failure to finish. This was a good example of this. Rondon doesn't have the quality to be able to arrest his momentum, cut back onto his left. He gives the ball up, and then literally 25 seconds later, the ball's in the back of the net. Because PSG hits a counter, Hakimi comes up that right side, nobody's tracking him, and he just is there. And as soon as that guy had time to check his email on his Apple Watch, right, and still put the ball in the net. It was a good goal. No, and Hakimi still has to finish it, but you take away those chances, you take away that they probably had the majority of the possession. Seattle played a smart game. They played a good game. They were defensively solid. They were doing low block counter. I was very impressed. And I think they deserve some kudos, because they knew they didn't have much of a chance. They could have just shrugged their shoulders, and they didn't. They gave Jordan Morris his first start, or not his first start, but he made an appearance in the 85th minute. He's been out with a hamstring injury since April. The crowd went wild. He has a shot that gets blocked, earns corner. In fact, from 85th minute to the 91st minute, it was all Seattle. And I'm thinking, my God, they might snatch a goal here and suddenly make it a little interesting. I give full props to the Sounders, full props to that crowd that filled Lumen. That looked like a really
good
solid
atmosphere.
crowd for a noon game on a Monday.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
That's a tough ask. They didn't do such a good job with that at the Rose Bowl. That stadium was empty. But
okay.
the Seattle game, they showed up, they supported their team. Well done.
Yeah, well done.
Well done.
No, I
mean, if you're going to bow out with dignity, and that's what they did.
And they knew they were going out as well, right? There was probably very little probability.
No, there was
they knew
nothing
they
to play. There was nothing for them to play for except two things: local pride, and a little bit of FU to the most right now one of the best clubs in the world, right? And even that at the end of the game, they were all standing out in the middle of the field. Everybody was having a good time. Jerseys were exchanged. This was one of the very rare games that did not require a cooling break because it's Seattle, right? And so they actually ended up playing all the way through. No, you finish on a good vibe. If you were in the crowd, you're thinking, wow, we actually kind of held our own against one of the best clubs in the world. Good for us. And that's exactly the way they should feel.
Wonderful. Okay. Well, that's now confirmed. So Group B, obviously PSG, Botafogo go through, obviously. So now we're going to start to see how the round of 16 starts to populate, depending on who finishes first and second and who plays against each other.
Correct. What was very interesting though about that Griezmann goal for Atletico is it shifted Botafogo and PSG. Mm-hmm. So Botafogo was originally at the top.
Yes.
And then as soon as they conceded that goal, PSG popped up to the top. So now PSG sitting in the number 1 spot and Botafogo is number 2.
Yeah.
I will also say that Botafogo did not seem particularly eager to counter in the stoppage time. They were slowing the game down, waiting for the whistle.
They knew they were through and they were comfortable as well. But again, I think what was interesting is as you say, that goal. Well, I mean, they only had the goal difference is Botafogo have +1. Atletico had -1, obviously, and that's why I know Atletico was still trying to get those. If they could get 2 goals in those dying minutes and win by 3-0, they would have snuck in. They would have snuck through, and they didn't. So So again, as you say, you can understand why Botafogo would have been just running the clock down and just frustrating at times. So
advancement number 1.
Exactly.
Advancement position number 2.
Yeah. And then, so that takes us on to this evening's games, obviously for Group A, just to sort of wrap that up. Now, this is an interesting one because anyone could qualify. Not anyone. That's not true. Well, that's true.
No, that is true.
Well, anyone could. Ali could still do it. Yes.
Mathematically, anyone is capable.
Ali will need to score at least 3 goals. They'll need to score 2, and then if Miami lose by 2, and then it sort of gets a little bit basically becomes a bit sort of mathematical that way. But this is an open game, so. Again, the thinking is if Palmeiras and Inter just have a draw, both of them go through. So do they sort of look at each other? I don't think that happens. I think they both go for it because especially if you're Palmeiras as well, a Brazilian team for the pride, you've got players like so all of a sudden you have like an interesting where you've got this young kid, Estêvão, who, again, I know Chelsea owned, looks really good, still young, still very light, is going to be going up against Messi, right? Not
still hasn't scored though, right?
Still hasn't scored, but yet won 2 player of the matches, and I still don't understand that because he's looked good, gets into good positions. Again, shooting boots are off as well. So maybe this is the game where he sort of turns up and says, "Okay, Messi, look, young kid is in town, and is this sort of wants to sort of show up and then exchange shirts for him." Does he win? Obviously, the 3rd player of the player of the match in a row. Let's see. But
if he doesn't score a goal, I can't. If he doesn't score a goal, he's guaranteed, right?
Maybe if he scores a goal,
that seems to be the trend.
That would be the determining factor as well, won't it? Yeah. So I'm definitely going to be watching because again, all these games are on at the same time. I'm going to be watching that
one's on my big TV. The Porto Al Ahly is on my device.
Catch the highlights as well. Again, Porto obviously they haven't impressed, and they.
I got to say though, I think that Porto they're going to be coming out. They've got to understand. They're looking at this, and they've got people who are going, "This is not a done deal for us. Mm-hmm. We can do it.
Yeah,
we need to go in and we need to basically embarrass Al Ahly." And as you said, they haven't scored a goal yet, and they don't look particularly strong on the offense. Yeah. So Porto's got to be. They have got to be playing a hyper aggressive attack. They've got to go for it. They have to.
And
because if they beat Al Ahly 3-0. And Palmeiras eked out a 1-0 win over Inter.
They knock out Inter. Yep, they're in. Yep,
they're in.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So goals. You're going to have to go hard for this.
They've got to go in and do that, and you know that there's going to be one person on the Inter Miami bench and the Palmeiras bench, for that matter, whose job it's going to be is just monitoring these games and going,
track it. What's going on? Where are we? Where are we?
And adjusting what's going on. This is not, I actually like it. I think it's fun. This is, it is rare to see so much openness out of all the games that happened today, right? Out of the 8 teams that happened today, only one was statistically eliminated. That was the Sounders.
Yeah, that's true.
Everybody else is, there might have to be some space-time continuum changes, but they can still qualify. Not like, some of the later games that are coming on where you're just going to be like, well, sure, there's not a lot happening here.
Just quickly, I should have done my research here, and this is one I'll confess to. Where is that Inter Palmeiras game being played? It's not. It's in Miami. Fort Lauderdale. It is in Fort Lauderdale. It's in Hard Rock. It's at the Hard Rock. Okay. Okay, that will be interesting. Those Palmeiras, that'll be a great atmosphere. As you know, I've seen 3 games there. A fantastic atmosphere.
I expect that to be a sellout. That has to be a sellout.
Absolutely, it'll be a sellout as well. We can probably check out now and see if we can pick up some tickets. But I don't think that you'll be able to. Or if you do, you'll be playing extortionate prices on the resale market. So okay. So that will be an interesting one. Yeah, we'll definitely be watching that one in the striker household as well. Definitely watching Miami and Messi against Palmeiras and Estêvão. Okay, so Qooligan, any predictions here? What are your thoughts here? Do you think who do you think goes through in this Group A?
I think Palmeiras goes through. I think Palmeiras takes the top spot. I do think Inter will take the second spot because I don't see Porto getting the 3 goals that they need. I think Al Ali is too stingy in the back. I don't think they'll allow them to do that.
Not score enough either. Yeah.
No, so I do think it's going to be Palmeiras first, Inter second, and then.
So what? Porto get a 1-0 win or a draw or something like that?
I think they actually get a 2-0 win. That's my call is going to be a 2-0 win. Or
well, even if they get a 2-0 win and Inter lose, then
is that enough?
Enough. That is enough. No, there's a 2 difference. So if they know,
I don't know.
Well,
then
no, it's not. It's a 3. They need to get 3 to get ahead. Again, it depends.
Okay, I thought it
depends
was 3.
If Palmeiras win by 2, though, then that changes and they get up 1. So it changes. So it'll all be arithmetic at the end of the day and interesting. I agree with you. I think Palmeiras.
Oh, actually, that's interesting. And it's funny. I earlier this morning when I was writing my article on this, I actually said that Porto and all would do a 1-1 draw.
Yeah,
that could happen still.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think you're probably going to get a draw.
And I said Palmeiras will win 3-1. That was my goal. That was my take. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay. So, Qooligan, as we get to the end of this session as well, and obviously get ready for this evening's games, you and I obviously just before off screen we were talking about, I saw some sort of bit of information floating around the internet and I said, can you believe the average attendance was 38,000 so far? And you called bullshit on it. So
I did. I am calling bullshit on that.
No. And you're actually, and in hindsight, and you're right as well, because to get an average of 38,000, those low numbers as well, when you have the sort of, the sort of, I can think of the Chelsea game in Atlanta, which was pretty sort of low attending. And that was the first game that they played. That was pretty low attending. And there's been a few others as well. So
there were 3 games in total that had less than 10,000 people. That was the Mamelodi. That was the initial Mamelodi Ulsan game, only had 3,400.
Understandable. Yeah.
There was the Pachuca Salzburg game in Cincinnati that had 5,300. And then there was the Auckland City Benfica game that only had 6,700. So those are low numbers. Yeah. And those will pull down those averages. Very, very high number games too, right? The opening Hard Rock game was 61,000. Mm-hmm. The Rose Bowl game, aka the game of heat and death, was nearly 81,000.
Oh, sorry. Who played in that Rose Bowl game? Who was that? Was the
Paris Saint-Germain Atletico Madrid.
PSG Atletico one, right? Yeah. So 80,000 turned up for that one. Yeah. Our friends soccer shops.
Almost 81. It was 80,619 to be specific.
The soccer shops read that one. Yeah.
So there's some good, so you've got some high statistical outliers. You've got some low statistical outliers. What I've been tracking is the percentage filled, right? Is how much of the stadiums are they filling? Because one of the criticisms is that they're using football stadiums in the sense of American football stadiums, which are much bigger. There are only, I think, 3 soccer specific stadiums that they are using for this tournament, and that would be
Lumen, Cincinnati.
No, sorry, not Lumen. Lumen is not a soccer-specific stadium. That is actually the home of the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay.
Inter & Co. in Orlando is the home of the two Orlando teams, men's and women's. That has a capacity of 25,500.
Okay.
Cody Field in Washington has a 20,000 person capacity. And then Geodis Park in Nashville, which I attended.
Nashville. Oh, okay.
Beautiful stadium. Gorgeous stadium. Has just over 30,000. So those three right there were used for some of the smaller fixtures. And between them, like the Inter only had a 20% fill rate. Okay. Geodis, they're hosting another game later on, but the initial game with L'Espérance and LAFC was only 45% full. It felt bigger because of the noise of the Tunisians. They were so loud. But, and so that was, Hard Rock is actually the winner, right? If you're looking at which stadium has performed the best, it's been Hard Rock. They've got almost a 94% fill rate, which is amazing.
It's incredible. That's great.
But they're also hosting all of the big marquee games.
Of course, FIFA have set it up in a way. They're not going to put the marquee games in Cincinnati or any of those ones as well. And look, you can't blame FIFA for doing that. Obviously, they're sort of trying to sort of run the best tournaments. And they want to spread it around a little bit as well. But I do, as I say, having been to that stadium now 3 times.
But don't lie about it. That's the thing that annoys me, right? Don't try to give me some yarn. And if you're looking at the true averages, it's actually 33,900. Is the real average, which again I don't think is poor for soccer games in the United States. That's a good average
for a first tournament as well, of its kind as well, where there's been a lot of sort of negativity as well. And again, I think and also midweek fixtures in the middle of the day, which is in the middle of summer.
You got to take time off.
Those things. No, it's a big ask. I think the other thing as well, what we were discussing as well, what I've realized about this tournament, as great it has been in terms of the engagement for the sort of traditional fans. If your club is not in this tournament, you're less inclined to be interested in it, right? Yes. So if your club is into it, you're absolutely all for it. Whereas if you go and compare it to the World Cup next year as well, I think there's going to be a more general interest because all the stars are going to be playing all the time, right? So that's the kind of the nuance to this.
Yeah, I'd say that I was surprised at the number of, quote, neutrals in when I was at the LAFC Esperance game, because it was a 5 p.m. on a Friday in Nashville. So, people leave work a little early. And then Nashville's a good soccer city. They support their team. And so they're like, let's go check this thing out. There were a good number of neutrals that were there, which I thought was encouraging. Yeah. And I think every stadium has got that certain little, that core group of neutrals that come out and support it. The one thing that's interesting is the Charlotte Stadium, Bank of America. They've only had one game there so far, because they're hosting a lot of quarterfinal games. But that one actually had 70,000 people for the one that they played, which was really quite good. That was the Pachuca Real Madrid game.
Yeah. What will be interesting? What will be interesting as well is now also the global viewing figures. I wonder if DAZN will actually put out those numbers and actually start sharing them, which will be interesting just to see the type of engagement and from what regions as well. Obviously, all of Brazil is going to be up watching this because they're on the time zone. They've got 4 teams in it. Absolutely. 100%. I know, speaking with, friends and family back in sort of Europe and obviously in the UK as well, like some of these late games at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, they're not going to stay up and watch for as well. It's going to be hard. So, but
that's what you find. That's one of the reasons why PSG is playing all their games at noon.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
On the West Coast, because that's 9 p.m. It's still not too late in Europe, right? So you can still, in fact, if you're a true Parisian, that's just when you're finishing
up a dinner. Yeah, exactly.
you do it just fine.
Bring out another bottle of wine and we're good too.
Exactly.
I guess,
right? And Atletico Madrid's the same way. So they're clearly attempting to ensure
maximum
visibility, right? Porto gets screwed in this particular case because they're playing 9 p.m. Eastern. That's 3 a.m. in Portugal, right?
Yeah, that's going to be hard.
I mean, that's not fun, but they'll be up.
Yeah.
Whether they've gone to sleep before or they're just coming in from the night out, who knows? But
they'll be watching.
Sure, they'll be watching.
Wonderful. Qooligan, well, that brings us up to time as well on another episode, another day, another set of games. It's exciting time. So yeah, we'll come back tomorrow as well, and then obviously we'll recap
same bat time, same bat channel.
Recap on the outcomes of obviously Group A, and then also as well we should have a little bit more of an update as well.
We'll have
on
Group
the matches.
C in the can.
Group C in the can.
By the time
which
we
I think
record
is,
tomorrow. Yep.
Yeah, which is Group C, and then also Group D will be playing as well in the evening, which is the Chelsea group and Chelsea Tunis, and then we're going to be, what games do we have tomorrow? And then we have the Boca Auckland as well. That will be an interesting one to see how Boca.
Well.
They got to
score a gajillion goals.
They've got to score more than 7 goals, 8. I think, as well. Yeah, they need 7
by my calculations. Well. Yeah. They need 8 and something to go their way.
Well, you'd expect Bayern to sort of roll over Benfica and score a few goals past them as well, so that could count. But you never know.
Well, no, that's to beat Benfica. Yeah. 8 to beat Benfica. They need 12 to beat Bayern.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's if Bayern doesn't score.
Yeah, that Bayern will score. I think Bayern will score that one as well.
I mean, as you can say what you want about Auckland, right? But if they put that young goalkeeper, Nathan Garrow, in, that guy made some spectacular saves. He might be a lot more difficult to get past. They may change up and just park the bus and try to be dicks about it.
We shall see. Wonderful.
Yes, we will.
Qooligan, as always, thank you very much. And as always, guys, if you've got this far, Hooligan-Soccer, socials, reach out, say hello. Would love feedback, love your thoughts. Tell us what you think.
Peace.
Take care.